Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. And we are Silvernest, the entire Silvernest team is really huge supporters of the Village to Village network and all the villages it supports.
Forgot to ask everybody to mute themselves. Sorry.
Oh, no,
Could
no
everybody
worries.
please mute yourselves? Thank you.
And Deirdre, you can mute me if I get too rambly. So,
No.
but
Questions for the end, right, Jennifer?
that's fine. Yeah, and I'll be, I won't drag on too long because I do think there's probably more value in just a quick overview, and then let's just dig into what you're curious about and want to know. So, but we're actually on the Village Village Network, website, so you can link to us there if you ever can't find us. We're on there, and I was fortunate enough, actually, Barbara Sullivan was my neighbor for a very long time. And now she's the executive director. So it's been a really great thing to have a buddy be the executive director of Village to Village Network and just stay so connected to something I already loved before I even started working for Silvernest. And also I lived in Washington State for a long time, although on Whidbey Island, but I miss it up there. I love it up there. I love Stone Mountain Lodge and all the wineries and the gorge. So just love where you guys live and really honored to be here. And just a quick little something. I am, professional advocate of home sharing, but I am also a very personal advocate of home sharing. I've talked with Deirdre a bit, but I'm on my second round of home sharing right now. So I started the first time. Both my kids, my last one went to college. I was divorced and I had a 4-bedroom home, and I took a leap of faith and took in a roommate and changed my life in a lot of ways. All ended up being positive. It's a little of a bit of an odd thing to do at first, but I can honestly, say without any reservation, it has been one of the most positive things I've done. So, and I'm in my round 2 of it just as of last month. So it's been an interesting second time around too. So I've got a quick PowerPoint I'm going to share with you. And it isn't too long. It kind of, as I divide it into 3 parts, first, there's just kind of let's get level set on, where we're at kind of with retirement and things, what's home sharing basically. A little bit about the company I work for, just what we're seeing from our company's angle and perspective. And then finally, I think the most valuable thing is just sharing some examples of what we're doing. And then we'll just, whatever you want to know, ask me, and if I can answer it, I will. And if I can't, I'll find out for you. So this is, let's see, my little clicker doesn't want to work. I don't know why. Let me see if I can, oh, there it goes. So this is Suzanne. She's actually a Silvernest user, but like a lot of people, she's in her mid-60s. She is living alone. She got divorced. She is so much fun. She's really active, loves to hike, great sense of humor. But she's really under a lot of financial pressure. So like a lot of people who live alone or are widowed or divorced or have kids in college and whatever, they're struggling financially to make sure they have enough to save for a good retirement and longevity, right? We're living longer. So these are all pictures of people who actually home share, and there's lots of people like Suzanne, but I don't want to leave the men out of this either. There's plenty of men that home share too. So that was just an example with a woman in it. So most of us know most of these numbers, and being from a village, you guys know that. I don't think it would be surprising to you to know that almost 80% of Americans want to age in their home. But with longevity and retirement savings at risk, and just the cost of taking care of a home, even if it's paid for as property taxes go up and homes get older, it can be kind of crushing. So what do we kind of see as like the answer to a lot of these questions? How do you stay in your home, save for retirement, save for fun trips if we can ever travel again all over the place? It's something we've all done before, but maybe when we were younger, maybe not all of us have done it before, but a lot of us. And it's having a roommate. So the problem though with having a roommate, especially as we get older, is it's a hugely personal thing because you're sharing space under the same roof with another person. And there's some real gaps. The first being, how do I find someone who's compatible? Because there is just no way you can do every other thing to make sure this relationship is going to work. But at the very beginning, if you're not compatible, nothing else you do matters. So compatibility is key. The second is communication. So, okay, you find that compatible person who you think this might be a good fit, but even if you're compatible with someone, you've got to get out in front of some potential, issues that could arrive, and things that could just be little misunderstandings or no misunderstanding at all if you had talked about them. But if you don't talk about them, they become huge issues, and then reasons for people to get angry or whatever. So really, communication is second. And finally, we all have stuff. And you're moving stuff around. Maybe you have a lot of stuff or not much stuff, but you have stuff. As a homeowner, you're going to have, furniture, dishes, things like that. The housemate moving in has probably got some items too. And you want to protect not only the agreement, the actual transactional agreement, but you want to protect your items. And how do you do that? So we'll talk a little bit about kind of how that can happen. So at its core though, home sharing is a homeowner lists extra space they have in their house. And it can be, it can be 2 rooms. You can be listing, something. Now, a lot of people work from home. So we've had people that say, I have 2 bedrooms to rent. You can have one as your bedroom and one as a flex room for an office or exercise or whatever. And I do want to kind of call out that we say the word homeowner, but as long as you are able to share room in your home, you don't have to actually own the home. You can be a renter. You just have to know if the terms of your rental agreement will allow you to do that. So then you decide, hey, I'm going to rent this room out. The housemate pays rent. You can say, maybe if you have that compatibility piece in place, but the budgets aren't meeting, maybe there's a $100, $200 difference in what they wanted to pay and you wanted to charge. You can talk about, hey, maybe we can talk about some help around the house to reduce your expense, to reduce your rent. So that's an option that you can do too. And then a lot of times, like I said earlier, it ends up being kind of for financial reasons that people go into this, but it ends up being a lot more than that. It ends up being sometimes a really great friendship, just some companionship, some safety, around, hey, there's somebody else that's home with you. And my dog has taken me out on the stairs so many times, I know one day I'm going to end up at the bottom of them. So, so I'm glad my housemate's going to be around to find me when one day he finally does. So this is a little bit about what we do on our platform to support home sharing, to address some of these gaps I just talked about. Security is key, whether you're using us or any other home sharing service or looking to home share. You want to be as secure as possible because that's paramount. So keep your personal information private. I would recommend, and we do strongly, can't force you to do it, but we recommend background checks for potential housemates. And we also support doing background checks for homeowners. I think it's pretty fair to expect both parties to do it. But again, we can't require it, but we do recommend it strongly. Don't give away anything personal until you're ready. Involve your friends and family in this decision. On our platform, you can do all these things in platform. We never send you anywhere to do it. And then we don't have a lot of listings in the Meadow Valley, but you can list there free of charge, no problem. If you want to look for a space or list a space, we're all over the country. And then you just really want to always kind of make sure that you don't just find someone that's compatible and then that's it. Like I said, communicate, do kind of the technical agreement of, hey, this lease, here's what we can use, here's what you can't use. This is your bedroom, your bathroom, here's what we're charging per month. But then also kind of this arrangement too around home sharing, like what does it look like day to day? Are there laundry hours? Are there quiet hours? What about visitors? What about, especially during COVID, how do we feel about, visitors coming in from outside or mask wearing and things like that? So really just get out in front and talk to each other about all that. And we do a lot of facilitation of that. So, and this is one more little brief shot of how it works. You just post a profile, we match you, that's that compatibility part. Whoop, then do the lease. And then we actually help people set up automated rent payments and provide insurance coverage. That's kind of that protection for your things on our platform. And a lot of other, companies do this as well. So they just tend to be more local and usually nonprofits that are very local. So who does home sharing help? So just, you can kind of open up your world a little bit, and it doesn't have to just be, like I said, women who are in their 60s, although that's what we tend to see on our platform. Anybody with extra space in their home can list their home, or anybody looking for an affordable and flexible place to live. So older adults and empty nesters tend to be our population that hops on our site. We do some work with graduate students, undergrads, AmeriCorps members, things like that. And we actually repurposed one of our partnerships in Oregon in last year during the wildfires. And I know you guys just experienced that too out there. But people were displaced and evacuated from their homes because of the wildfire. So they actually helped people home share who were displaced for a bit. So one of the other benefits of this is you really do create community. So when suddenly you've got other people living in your house, you kind of open up your world to new experiences, new people, new friendships. I have a whole new circle of friends because of my housemate. And it just makes you this more connected kind of community. Because I know people in my neighborhood now that I don't know that I ever would have known before without my roommate. Like I said, Craigslist is an option. I wouldn't recommend it. I would really recommend, and maybe not even getting on Facebook. I see a lot of requests for home sharing on Facebook and Nextdoor, Craigslist. I would really encourage everyone to go through more of a process of, compatibility, background checks, be really a little more transactional and diligent about it. And sometimes family members don't work out as well, because family members just have so much history behind them. So I know a lot of people who say, I don't want to live with my sister's daughter. There's just so much going on there, and it's going to be difficult to collect rent and things like that. So some people do a lot better with just more of a let's start fresh relationship with home sharing. So that's that. This is a really brief snapshot what we see nationally. Again, females tend to be on our website. Homeowners a little bit older than housemates. The average, and this is just average income for the nation, is $850 a month. And then monthly savings over market rate rent for housemates is $750 a month. 40% of our users do click the button that says, hey, I'll consider reducing rent for help around the house. And that should be really non-licensed, non-medical, non-personal help, things that I would say are classified as chores. Let's, shovel the snow, mow the grass, maybe some light housekeeping, things like that. But you don't want to start offering reduced rent for anything that would, take someone who's licensed to do that work. So this is kind of a snapshot of what we see too of, hey, how are we going to address some of the housing solutions? So if you're on the side where you're looking, for some affordable housing, or if you know someone who is, most of what I see around the country, and I work a lot with nonprofits and governments around the country, inaction is unfortunately what I see the most of. And it is actually, at the end of the day, the most expensive thing you can do is to do nothing. And it just increases the problem and the burdens on society. New construction is great, but new construction of senior communities takes forever. New construction of affordable housing takes forever. A lot of people, especially the village movement, they don't want to go into senior communities. They want to stay in their homes. So that's not even an option anyway. And home sharing, I would propose, is a really affordable, flexible, immediate way to either find affordable housing or make some extra money. Because the minute you sign that agreement, the next month you have income. So this is a snapshot of what I do. I work with, like I said, nonprofits and governments around the country to bring home sharing to scale. We get funded under a variety of methods. Normally I have a nonprofit organization that receives that funding, and then we're just the vendor to their home sharing program. So that's kind of how that works. And happy to talk more about that if someone's interested. And finally, a couple of examples before I stop and listening to my own voice here. One of our very first partnerships was just right to the south of you in Oregon. And it's our very first partnership. So it's the one that's just growing like a hockey stick now, which we're super excited about. But it's funded through grant money. And it was originally designed to address the affordable housing crisis out there. Although now we're really seeing the flip side of that, where it really supports aging in place and earning some extra income and companionship and things like that. And this is the one that we did repurpose for the wildfire evacuees. This is another partnership. So down in South Bay, I call this one out simply because this one does not have a nonprofit that sits in the middle of it. There's a terrible, crisis down in Los Angeles with people not being able to even downsize. If they wanted to downsize, they can't, because it's so incredibly hard to downsize and buy a home. And it's also the homelessness problem there is just out of control. So they actually funded this one under Homelessness Prevention Innovation Funds, and the South Bay Cities Council of Governments, which is 14 cities and counties down near Los Angeles, said, hey, we see this as a solution. It's it's not gonna be, sorry, it's my dog, I knew it, Archie. And this is being recorded, great. Archie. So they're Deidre, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
So anyway, so this one does not have a nonprofit that sits in between, and my dog's name is Archie. And I think this is just two more. So this is Montgomery County Homesharing. This one is funded through RFP money that was actually the Village to Village coordinator in Montgomery County, Maryland, got the RFP designed because she really believes in home sharing too. Her name's Pazit Aviv, if anyone knows her from Village to Village network things. But she said, yes, this can really be a solution. Silver Spring, Maryland, all the counties up in Montgomery County, Maryland, right just north of DC, are just so expensive and so hard to keep your house here that she said, we want to do this. So they funded this under an RFP, and it was awarded to Housing Initiative Partnership, which is a nonprofit HUD certified housing counseling agency. And so they already have people who were kind of maybe getting behind on their bills, or just we're worried about some foreclosure issues or restructuring their loan. And they said, hey, on top of all the other services we offer, we're going to add home sharing to our services. And then so we're the vendor to that nonprofit for home sharing. So we help them scale. And finally, this is one of my favorites, and we're working on bringing it back next year. COVID, we took a little bit of a hit like everybody else with some of our projects, but the AmeriCorps program, and this one was a Teach for America AmeriCorps program, they were having a hard time really getting people housing because they just get stipends. If you didn't have family or friends that lived in the area, it was almost impossible in some of these really expensive cities for the AmeriCorps members to do a year of service, even though they wanted to. And they actually, sometimes they get encouraged to go on food stamps and things like that just to be able to do their tour with AmeriCorps. But we promoted home sharing with people. This is Lana and Nishay. Nishay is she was a teacher in Lana's neighborhood, and Lana had a home with extra room, and so she offered it to Nishay for really reduced rent, and it basically got to help her community out by hosting a Teach for America teacher. So it went really well, and we placed about 20% of the people coming in. So like I said, not for everybody, but if you can help 20% of the folks coming through a program, I say that's a pretty good start. So I'm gonna stop there. Apologies for the dog, even just cannot believe that happened in the middle of that. But yeah, so if there's questions or thoughts, really happy. I'd love to know if anyone even does if anyone's home shared before, but I'll just open the floor up now.
Yeah, and thank you so much. That was great. There was a funny little noise. I don't know if other people heard it, but it sounded like a little computer, I don't know, something funny, but it doesn't matter. We could hear you fine.
Okay, good.
So does anybody have any questions or comments?
Hey, Jennifer, I do have a question. This is Patty Spencer.
Mhm.
I'm wondering what kinds of fees there are associated with Silvernest, and is there, for you to do the kind of matching, background checks, et cetera, how does that factor in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I kind of, I guess, glossed over it a little bit. So it's free to sign up on our platform. And I can speak a little bit to kind of generally other programs around the country. I've actually, University of Washington did a big study, which I'm happy to share with you guys about home sharing. Most of it is around the nonprofit programs. The way our fees are structured, it's free to sign up and create a profile, either as a homeowner or a housemate. You'll get your matches. Once you find that person and you start collecting rent, because we do the automatic rent pay, we take 5% of the rent. So if you're renting your home out for $1,000, we'll take a $50 administrative fee. And what that does is it keeps we hold your lease and all those kinds of things, just so that you always have it on the platform. It enables the auto rent payment feature, and it also, I kind of didn't talk too much about our insurance coverage, but with your very first payment, you get $100,000 of coverage for the homeowner for any damage done to the home from the home sharing agreement. And then $10,000 of coverage for the housemates items that any items that they've brought in. So, and it's automatic, no deductible, no application. It just happens automatically with that auto rent payment. And then, the only other thing we charge for is background screens, and they're $29.99. So, and some other programs around the country, a lot will do like a one-time placement fee of $200 or $300, something like that. There's all kinds of different ways people pay for their programs. Oh, Deirdre, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Silvernest takes care of all collecting of the rent. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, which is, we really encourage it, just because then there's evidence that, so, there's unfortunately, people out there who try to get away with stuff. So if they're saying, oh, I'll just pay you in cash, and then suddenly there's no record, they say they paid you, you're like, well, I never got it. If there's just, automatic payment, you don't have that awkward moment of asking for a rent check anyway, which is kind of nice. It just happens. And then there is, there's a trail of, hey, they did pay you, so you never have to worry. Wow, is that it?
No, come on.
Oh.
Okay, I have one more question. I don't want to
Go for it.
questions, but so how have you gotten these things started in communities? Like, so a community like ours, for example, that currently we're not utilizing this kind of platform, how do you suggest, that this kind of thing get utilized?
Yeah.
Known about this?
Yeah, so the big, and that's a great question. So I'm on the partnership side of this, which is kind of the examples I shared. But that one picture of, hey, you can list a profile, get your matches, things like that. There is just a direct to consumer part of this. You can just at any point go to silvernest.com and list your space. What partnerships do for us is really, it increases awareness because our partners usually have some kind of outreach channel, and we report back. We build out all kinds of stuff behind the scenes to kind of report back, hey, this many people came through, this many people are home sharing, things like that. And partners really like that to support their programs. It actually helps them get more grant dollars or, government dollars to keep growing and expanding the program. But you can, it's there. Anyone right now can go and list a home. It's better if there's it's better for everybody if there's lots of inventory because there's lots of choices. So, to get started, doing it, you can just go do it. But partnership wise, I work with nonprofits mostly in cities. So if there's a city council that would be interested, or if there's a nonprofit, that maybe touches homeowners, AAAs or, area agencies on aging are always good contacts. We're working with some right now to stand up some partnerships, but anyone who really provides like services for people and would maybe benefit from adding home sharing is just one more way to help somebody. And what's nice is even in our Oregon partnership, what we're finding out, so people hear about Homeshare Oregon and think, oh, I want to share my home. That sounds great. I'm going to do that to earn extra money. Well, it turns out so they go to Homeshare Oregon to start home sharing, but during kind of the intake, turns out home sharing wasn't right for them. But now Homeshare Oregon is aware that this person reached out for something, and it turns out maybe they need Meals on Wheels instead, or maybe they need just some other support in a different way. But you've at least captured this person, so we're finding out that that's kind of a success that we hadn't really thought about. Kind of a little side success that's pretty great is that people come to the program thinking this is for me, but end up needing something else. But at the end of the day, you're helping people. So that's the good news story, I suppose.
So are there fees for that nonprofit partner, or is there like if you're working with Methow at Home, for example, as your nonprofit partner, are there fees or other liabilities or anything associated for Methow at Home or whatever nonprofit to be working with you?
Yeah, so if you want to stand up a formal partnership, then we talk to our partner, we go, okay, hey, what do we need to do? And so the formal partnership pages are the landing page, we build landing pages. So then that I wasn't very technical when I started this job. So I'm going to say this in a super non-techie way because I'm not a product person. But you build a landing page, which is basically like, imagine like a front door to your program. And once people go through this landing page, they find us through a partner's landing page, then we do all that kind of cool product stuff behind the scenes, but we can track people. We don't share any kind of personal identification or anything, but partners really want to know, hey, like, so say, for example, we did something, with MAH, that you'd go, well, how many people are coming to the website, to the landing page? How many people are stuck? How many people are converting? How many people have listed? How many people are home sharing for how much? What's the average rent? Things like that. If we build a formal partnership and have that landing page, then we can track all that and report back to you. And that's what's valuable to our partners. Here it's great too. If you just go to silvernest.com, that's great, but I would never be able to tell you that MAH drove that traffic, or MAH, these are kind of MAH's people that went through. And that's kind of, I guess, if that's helpful at all. So that's basically like, there's a build cost to that, which is a few $1,000s. And then there's like $1,000 a month licensing fee that licenses all of our home sharing materials. It means you get all the reporting, the monthly reporting, all the outreach builds, things like that, so that you kind of just press a button and you have a home sharing program. So that's kind of how that's structured. Some partners choose, and this is where, I don't want to get too weedy on how this all architects if it's boring, but I'll just add, some of our partners prepay for background screens because they don't want people to have to pay for the background screen. So they say, hey, if you're coming through our program, we're helping you. We've got grant money or RFP money or city funding, whatever kind of funding. We're also going to pay for your membership fee, and we'll pay for your background screens. And that's kind of on a partner by partner basis. Some partners do, some partners don't. And that's where I just, I talk to potential partners and people who want to do something really formal and say, hey, what do you want to do? Here's a proposal. Let's see if it works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
So if we were partners, would you have some sort of campaign in the Methow Valley to let, I mean, the thing is that people just don't know about it. We have 15 people here. There were 25 people signed up. Just letting people know that this exists, what it is. Do you do that sort of thing? Or?
Yeah, and that's part of kind of that whole build. Usually it takes us 2 to 3 months to build everything out, not just the pages and all the reporting and kind of what's important to you. What do you need to know? What can we and can we not report back to you? But also like, hey, let's really look at the demographics of this population. Let's look at the outreach channels. Let's talk about what kind of marketing investments we need to make, to make all this happen the right way. So that whole outreach plan, is quite a few really fun meetings actually, but I really enjoy that because I like thinking about how we're going to get that stuff out there. I'm, like I said, not a product person, so I couldn't tell you for a minute how to build a landing page. But yeah, then there's the whole outreach portion of this, and just kind of like, who's our target population? How do we think we can get people to open up their homes? I mean, I think I've always thought the villages would be a great channel because, your whole mission is so aligned with ours. And quite frankly, it's usually not too difficult to find people that need flexible, affordable housing options. It's a little bit more difficult to find the inventory, to find the homeowners that are willing to open up their homes. So that's the heavier lift right now. I'm hoping, down the road, maybe 5-10 years, this is more like Uber and it's completely normalized. We just hop in a car with somebody and go. I never would have done that 10 years ago, but now I'm a gold member. And I think as home sharing just gets a little more normalized and people understand what it is, and there's more positive stories and testimonials that come out, I think the better that is. And and that's where I think storytelling is really good. I love it when people tell me their home sharing stories. I've had my favorite lately, this lady down in Florida, we were chatting, it's probably 2 years ago now. But I reconnected, and she had said, well, I have 5 bedrooms. She goes, I only use one. She said, but when my family comes home, I want that for Thanksgiving and Christmas, because they usually come home for one or both. And I said, well, so say that, like on your profile, write it, say, I got this awesome house in Florida with a pool, but I need you to clear out for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And she was like, I can say that? I was like, yeah, you get to like, I'm not going to tell you how to live. Like, you write down how you want to live, like write down your optimal situation. Right. And sure enough, she found this wonderful girl who said, well, I don't want to be at your house for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So not a problem. Like, I'm out of here. I got plenty of friends and family and yeah, I don't need to spend the holidays with you. So they've lived together for a couple of years now and it works great. And, and that is kind of at the beginning, a few of us were talking about building like community and building relationships. And when you live with someone, personally speaking, there's always that awkward first month or two. There's this break-in period of just getting used to things and trying to put your extra kind face on and get through it. But once you like get to know that person, of course you're going to be super accommodating. When Joan's kids come home, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it gets a little crowded in here. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to pop over, I got my friends and I'll go visit them for a few days and have your kids to yourself, whatever. I don't care. It's nice. And sometimes I can't, but I know her kids really well. So it's no big deal, so you just get to know humans on this level of, it's just a different level that is pretty great.
Yeah. That's great. I would encourage everybody that's on this to go to Silvernest, go ahead and sign up because it doesn't cost anything.
No, it doesn't cost anything.
And if we can get some people that have homes and we can get some people that need homes and start a few matches, then other people hear about it and that's how we'll get the word out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I'm working hard. I don't have a lot of rural partnerships yet, but I know, in more rural areas versus, kind of those big cities that everyone always focuses on. I think I've always thought that there's just such an opportunity out there because there just tends to be a little more space anyway. So you just have a little more elbow room when you're not shoulder to shoulder in an apartment building and maybe just a little more space to share than typically you can find in a New York apartment. A lot of people don't even have an extra bathroom. Like the home sharing situations are, I have a room and you're going to have to share a bathroom with me, which you can list that, but I just personally don't think that's as appealing as maybe someone having their own bathroom. So I think the opportunity to kind of get the word out beyond what is traditionally, the big cities that everyone focuses on. I think there's huge opportunity for that. And people know it, people are just, I think, more community oriented a lot of times and know each other really well. At least that was my experience kind of growing up in, smaller communities. I'm here in DC now, which is crazy. So, yeah, it's nuts here.
If we can just get a few people to sign up, it would be great because I think it would snowball if people just started to find out about it.
Yeah. And I'm happy to support however we can. You can, my email is jennifer@silvernest.com and, we have good customer support out there and things like that. And I'd love to know if you do, list your home, if you want to let me know, great. But if you don't, that's fine too. But however I can support you and help you out.
Yeah. And we'd like to know too. So if any of you on here are going to do it, sign up, let us know because, maybe we can form a partnership with some other nonprofit organizations. We have a housing trust here, it might be possible or some government money grants or whatever, but that might take some time. So in the meantime, you can just sign up for free. It doesn't cost you anything. And what did you say? It's 5%. What do you take?
5% of whatever the rent is, the agreed upon rent. So
yeah, and that's every month you're taking.
Every month.
Yeah, and they take care of all the insurance. They take care of, that's all you have to pay, right?
Yep, it is. So it's $25 for a $500 room, but that kind of gets you that peace of mind of knowing the automatic rent's coming and the insurance coverage is there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is Sharon, and I have a question.
Hey, Sharon.
Yeah. Well, so how do you determine what you can charge?
Oh, great question. So we have a lot of tools, and one of the tools we have when you're going through the process as a homeowner of listing your space, we give you a lot of guidance, but kind of what do you have? So you're going to check it's a private bedroom, private bathroom, maybe you have a pool, things like that, whatever. So you'll go through kind of your amenities list, put in your zip code, and then based on your zip code, what you have to offer, amenities, things like that. We give you a rental calculator. It's a rental calculator. So we give you an idea of what you should charge kind of based on the rates out there. However, again, just like think of us as a tool. We're never going to tell you what to do. This is always your decision. If the rental calculator spews out $600 and you're like, nope, I want 800. I think my place is worth 800. We are certainly not going to force you to put any kind of price on there. I would advise not to go too far off because you're probably not going to get the place rented. But if you really think your place is, worth twice what we say, then you get to make that decision. Let the market decide. But it is good for, kind of a starting point because it is hard to know sometimes like, hey, what could I even get for my space? So we give you there's a lot of little things like that along the way. And lots of compatibility questions. And we've worked with SAGE, the LGBTQ, elder advocacy group, to just make sure we're being really sensitive about all the questions we ask and things like that. So, but if there's ever, we're also, the thing about us is we're a technology group, right? Like we're just online. I don't have any brick and mortar. I don't have boots on the ground folks, which is why our nonprofit and government partners are really good because they're more boots on the ground and know the local area the best. But we're always looking for feedback and way to make stuff better. So if you get in there and something like makes you scratch your head or you have a question or feedback, we really do want to hear it. I mean, we really want to be better every day at this. And we change stuff all the time based on user feedback. So don't for 1 minute hesitate to let us know.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, I have another question. Are any of your home share participants couples versus single people? Like, so for example, let's say, in this valley, we have a real crisis with our workers having housing. So if you have a married couple, do you have people who rent or share a home that are married couple?
We do, and that's a great question. Unfortunately, right now, our platform doesn't support both of you building a profile together. So when you go in either as a homeowner or a housemate, only one of you is going to be able to really build a profile under one email address. So, so it'll list your name, but then in your profile section, we have people all the time that say, we're a couple, we're a retired couple, or we're a young working professional couple that is opening up our home or needs a home. So you can certainly, you put that kind of in the free write section of your profile. And we do have that all the time, couples that come in. I've seen, I look at our listings all the time just to kind of get an idea of what's out there. I've seen a mother with a young child saying, hey, I'm a single mom, I've got a 4-year-old, I'm renting out the master bedroom. So I'm gonna take the room next to my kiddo and share the other bath with my kid, and I'm renting out the master bedroom. So there's all kinds of interesting ways that people are, working this out. And the other thing is you can say part of your profile build is really like, what are you looking for, not only in the person, but in the length of home share. So you can put, I'm looking for something that's 3 months, 6 months, a year or more, all of those, don't care. But, I'm not trying to marry anyone off here. So it's like, if you're just looking to do this, maybe in some time of transition, or you need to gap a job. I mean, I've lost a job before and it was terrible. And I was like, ugh. And if I hadn't had that home sharing income, I really would have been worried. So it was really great to have that as kind of a crutch, to crutch me along for a couple months while I found a new job, because they just shut our whole office down. And so you can, use this in those times too of, hey, I just need to gap some income for a little bit, or there's been a crisis, and before you make a decision, so I was a Navy ombudsman back in my Navy wife days. And we used to always tell people, if you can avoid making a gigantic financial decision, sometimes you can't avoid it, but if you can avoid making a really big financial decision when you are emotionally just completely stressed out, that's usually a good thing. Like if you can just somehow, and you can't always, sometimes you're not lucky enough, but if you can give yourself a breather for a minute and just say, okay, maybe I won't make this big financial decision right now. This could be a way to do that, maybe not, but. So I hope that helps a little.
Well, this is Karen, and that did answer part of the question of how long, if we bring somebody into our place, I've had company stay, you know, that I tend to pick in to be like the mom. And so I don't want to get into that mode.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Right.
sense?
It does. And I'm glad you said that too, because kind of another thing I hear a lot. So there's a huge movement out there, the intergenerational movement. I'm sure a lot of you have heard a lot of stuff about, you know, intergenerational relationships and things like that. And we certainly support, I mean, we support any kind of relationship you want to have for home sharing. But that's also one of those profile questions is, do you have an opinion? You know, do you have a preference for age? You know, and you can put, oh, I'd really love to, you know, have someone younger in my home. You know, I think it'd be great, or someone my own age or something, or I don't care. You can click all these different boxes of who, you know, what your preference is. I have to laugh because, you know, my kids are 21 and 23 right now, and they have friends and they're in college. But if I need a 20 something in my life right now, I have plenty of options. So my roommate's 59. And I wanted to live with somebody my age. So I don't, you know, because to your point, I have enough people that I'm still kind of a mom to. And I might feel still like I was in maybe a maternal relationship, but you know, maybe one day I'll decide, oh, I want some 20-year-olds around, but right now I'm good. So you get to kind of, you know, this is, again, you get to choose how you want to live, how this looks, how much you want to charge. You know, you decide everything. We're just going to do a lot of the filtering for you. We really are a tool. We're going to make this so much easier than if you just like talk to your neighbors and go, you know, anyone that needs a roommate or wants to live in my house with me, you know, make it just a little easier to filter through your preferences. And it's kind of nice because there's some anonymity in there, right? So sometimes you might want to just do this on your own and, you know, not meet the person. Because if you're not getting the right vibe, if you're on our platform and sending encrypted messages on our platform, nobody knows who you are yet necessarily. You know, there's no like weird, oh, you know, I don't want to do this with you. You can just say, you know, I don't think this is going to work out, but thanks so much. So no harm, no foul. And you can wait for the right person. You know, you might get the right person in a week and it might take 3 months. You just never know, but we're always getting new listings and new folks. And the more, you know, that's why I really appreciate just this opportunity, because the more people that know, the better. And the more opportunity we're going to have to just build inventory and help people out.
And so if somebody opened up their home to somebody and it doesn't work out, then what happens?
You can build that into, I mean, and we give a lot of guidance on that on our end. And I never want to leave out other, you know, nonprofits that do this, but I don't believe there's one in your area that does. But there's a 30-day, you know, in writing, hey, this isn't working out. And quite frankly, if it's not working out, neither one of you wants to do it anymore. And it's usually pretty apparent that it's time for the housemate to move on. So yeah, if it's not working, it's not working. And then we have a lot of people that, you know, they've left because they found another job or they got married, and, you know, there's a 30-day written notice and then you're good. And we encourage people to, you know, maybe do a short, like 2 to 3 month trial period. And then, you know, if you want to enter into a longer lease agreement, adjust your lease and go, okay, great, let's do 6 months or something like that. But, you know, this is really where, you know, you're two adults and you can make the decision together on, you know, what works. We'll just help you with whatever you need to do that works. And hopefully avoid the things that don't work.
Yeah. Great. Well, you've given us a lot to think about, and I really encourage everybody, at least if you're interested, if you have any inkling to have a housemate or you need a house, to just sign up.
Yeah. And really, if you think of something afterwards, I'm really easy to get a hold of. Just shoot me an email. And if you don't want to shoot me an email, hello@silvernest.com is our customer support. So Jennifer or hello@silvernest.com, really easy to get in touch with us. So yeah. And there's a lot of info on the website too, tons of blogs and all kinds of things. So, and also I'll follow up with you, Deidre, if anyone's interested. I'll send over that University of Washington. They just released it this year. It's a whole policy recommendation study on home sharing. they did a great job researching all kinds of different programs around the country and just kind of really, breaking it down on a really academic, cool level. So I'll send that over to you
Okay,
if anyone wants it.
great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, well,